Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Shrim Brim Klim Glom Ganganapate Varavarda Sarvajaname Vashamane Svaha Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Shivaya Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 5th of May 2026. I want to offer prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan, Paramatma, residing in the heart of every single being at all times. We are continuing to examine step by step, very carefully and very systematically, hopefully very systematically, the 4 words that Shankaracharya Ji, Adi Shankaracharya Ji has talked about. That is Nitya-Anitya-Vastu-Vivek. This is a master key, not only a master key, it is the master key. Master key to what? What will it open? It opens the doorway into Ananda, realization, Bhagavat Tattva, Bhakti. It opens the doorway into undisturbed Bhakti. Undistracted, non-disturbed, non-fragmented, non-diluted, non-divisive bhakti. इस पर ध्यान रखना. I'm telling myself all this thing, just sharing with everybody. ये जो कथा सब करते हैं, the exposition is for oneself, and then it is a seva for others. There is nothing greater than bhakti. In Shikshapatri, you maybe have read this, I don't know. Shikshapatri is a scripture that is written by Bhagavan Swaminarayan. There are 212 verses. And in verse number 113, Maharaj kya kehte? He says it very clearly that the bhakti of Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagavan ki bhakti in general, it is the topmost sadhana for kalyana. I'll read the sentence in Gujarati and I'll translate it for you. Ane eva je te Sri Krishna Bhagavan, te nije bhakti, te je te prithvine vishe, સર્વ મનુષ્ય તેમણે કરવી અને તે ભક્તિ થકી બીજું કલ્યાણકારી સાધન કાંઈ નથી એમ જાણવું. That means that the કલ્યાણકારી sadhan, it means that the sadhana process that leads to kalyanam, leads to mukti, ananda, leads to liberation, salvation, that is bhakti. And to have bhakti or open bhakti internally that does not deviate, does not get damaged, does not get deflected, that is why we can apply Shankaracharya Ji's teaching here, that Nitya-Anitya-Vastu-Vivek. That Viveka separates out completely, clearly, cleanly, clean separation. See this point? Clean separation. Clean means absolutely clean separation between the temporary fluctuations that are all around us and the Atma, Paramatma, eternal Tattva. Because the changing nature of experience is seen directly. Because it is seen. When the mind sees this, when we ourselves see the fluctuation, when we see the fluctuation, our mind, our antakarana, begins to loosen its grip. ગુજરાતીમાં કેવું હોય કે મને જે પકડી રાખ્યું છે સંસાર અંદરમાં છૂટી જાય. The grip, you're holding tightly, right? This is my mother, this is my father, this is my dog, this is my house, this is my planet, this is my body, this is my money, this is me, mine, holding on so tightly. We have to live with all that. Sab anitya hai. It is a vision. It is called the perception of flux. This is sadhana. As we said before, go into beautiful park, Saundarya. Because we need, we are not at that level of akhanda bhakti. अखंड वैराग्य बोलने के लिए सब इजी बात है, बाकी स्थिति बात बहुत अलग बात है. So we have to we have to go through stages of development, and we cannot just jump into we will not be able to just jump into this realization. There is sadhana behind this. You see, because the ordinary mind of every human being in general, is clinging to all the fluctuations, to the flux. The ordinary mind clings because it mistakes. It's a mistake. It mistakes relative stability for permanence. Do we need relative stability? Yes. And security, stability, obviously we need that. We need a roof over our head. We need good air to breathe. We need good food to eat. Obviously we need the body to be healthy and stable. That's our whole Angel Wing program. We need that, obviously. But watch out. The mistake that is made through the ego, by the human being in general, the ordinary mind, it is clinging to the fluctuations because it is making a mistake that the relative stability, which is necessary, is permanent, which it is not permanent. The relative stability in our life, like right now I'm sitting in this chair, this body is here, the speaking is going on, seeing is going on, hearing is going on, I have a mala in my hand, I have a cup of tea or coffee here on the side, my phone is in my over here. So many things are here, right? So what do I feel? Yes, sukh bahut hai sansar. Yes, obviously we need that. Is there stability? As electricity is flowing, computers are working. Yes, we have to have relative stability. We have to have stability, but that stability is relative. A point will come when all of these objects, all of these experiences are changing anyway. All the objects also, everything will go away. Everything will change into something else. Nashwantapanu. Jagat ne nashwant ne dekhe. Remember Vachanamrut Garada Ante number 2? We were looking at that. Hope you're taking notes. Mukta banna hai to mukta hi ban jao. Everything is changing all the time. Nashwant means iska nash ho jata. Nash means, it doesn't mean that the substance is destroyed. It changes forms. It doesn't mean that the substance disappears. Like a cup of coffee will, that cup will break up and it'll become old and it'll go into the somewhere else. It will change, its form will change. The substance still remains. So, do we need stability in our life? Absolutely. Yes. Our body has to be stable, healthy. Our mind, our environment, our community. But that stability, family harmony, absolutely has to be there. That stability is relative. That is a vision. Why is it relative? Because it is not a permanent state. And our ego, our mind is making a mistake. Vedanta has a lot of technical words for this mistake, but it makes a mistake in our simple language. It mistakes relative stability. Write these two words down for today. Relative stability, the mind is clinging to the fluctuations of the world because it mistakes relative stability for permanence. Permanence is nitya. The relative stability is necessary, but this is where the word viveka comes into the picture. It's very interesting. बहुत interesting बात है. It's very interesting intellectually, but it's extraordinarily liberating. Why the word viveka comes into the picture? Because the relative stability is seen for what it is rather than what we are believing it is. I hope that makes sense. Obviously, just look at the world outside. Seasons are changing, climate changes, people are coming and going from this world, politics changes, wars are going on, right? Continuous change, flux. It's called flux, F-L-U-X. Politicians change. Family members come and go. People become old. Bodies go. New bodies come. What is this called? This is called flux. F-L-U-X. Flux. The perception of flux is not just an intellectual, philosophical idea, some philosophy. We give it lip service. Sab maya hai, sab nashwant. It doesn't mean anything at all. Just to say that. Iska kya arth hai? It doesn't mean anything. This is not about lip service. This is not about simply just using some pushpitam vacha, just using some flowery language. No. It is an honest to God real perception. Or in this perception, there is freedom right there and then. Freedom from the entanglement inside the fluctuation. There's interaction, but not binding. For example, a tree. A tree appears stable. Yet it is growing, it is aging, it is exchanging gases, right? Carbon dioxide, oxygen, etc. It is responding to light. It is participating in ecological cycles. Isn't it so? It is not a permanent object. Permanent being. This body, the body appears to be a continuous identity. It appears that way. Sachin, I was thinking about this just the other day. I'm looking in the mirror. I said, look at how different this person looks compared to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's all just a prakriti ka fluctuation. Hamara swarup wo hai hi nahi. This is not actually our form. This is a form of the body only. So the body appears to be a continuous identity. Yet it is undergoing metabolic, cellular, emotional, and cognitive change. 4 points. Metabolic change. Is our metabolism change? Metabolism is what? Anabolism and catabolism. If you look it up in philosophy, in physiology texts, anabolism and catabolism, when they function, because they function together, that is called metabolism. This is physiology, right? Basic stuff to understand. So there's metabolic change. Obviously, as soon as I eat an apple, a banana, metabolism, its breakdown happens and absorption happens and breaking down the molecule, kitna sab change hota hai. Isme se sharir banta hai. It's not constant. Waste products are going out of the body every day. New material. It's a machine, right? City of 9 gates. Bhagavad Gita calls this body City of 9 gates. Navadvara Sharir. Sharirik sadhan, it is just it's a mechanism, it's a biochemical mechanism. That's not who we are. It is anitya. It is there relatively. Obviously, and it has to be healthy. It's relatively stable, not permanently stable. So there's metabolic change, cellular change. The cells keep changing all the time, right? New cells are there. Emotions are changing. The entire TEMDE, thoughts, emotions, new memories are coming up all the time. New memories are being formed. Desires are changing. Energy is flowing. Relationships seem to be fixed. For example, husband-wife relationship, mother-child relationship, father-daughter relationship, friendships, all these relationships, they appear to be fixed. We have a solid relationship. Okay, that's good. You have a solid relationship with whoever. Loving relationship, beautiful. Yet each person in the relationship, maybe it's 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever number of people that are participating in that, each person in the relationship is changing. There is a relative stability, that's all. I hope these points are clear. This is what leads to living liberation. In fact, memory, the TEMDE, memories, the research in psychology suggests that memories themselves change as we remember them. How can that be? Well, we remember them in a particular way. Then we may not remember exactly what happened, or we may remember it in a different way. So what we remember is even affected by our remembering process. बहुत changes है सब. To see all of this clearly in meditation, with mantra sadhana, with Bhagavad Nishtha, with Guru Kripa, those 5 points. Mantra, Stotra, Shastra, Sat Shastra, Mandir, and Guru Parampara. Hopefully they're fixed inside our brain. When we are bringing those 5 inside, and now we can see the impermanence, the flux, all these points that I just mentioned. To see all this clearly is to enter into the domain of Viveka. Viveka means discriminative wisdom. The mind does not become disturbed by recognizing impermanence. We recognize things are changing. Because things are changing, we see reality while we are awake as it is. There's no dislike for that as such. There's no hatred or escapism. There's also not over-involvement. In fact, our mind becomes steady, very steady and very clear because we recognize impermanence. This is being recorded. Please review these recordings. This is our 4th recording on this Nitya-Anitya-Vastu-Vivek. I have to still load yesterday's, but I'm going to do that today as soon as we're done here. And then today's also. Is par notes likh dena, please. If you write it down, if we all write it down, make your own notes, and how much is it clear, what's not clear about this, what is the sadhana, how is it progressing, you will see. We'll see exactly where the deficiencies are. Get the concepts clear. Right? So each and every point should be, in fact, I would say must be, crystal clear. Buddhi mein prakash aana chahiye. It's not the quantity of information. It is, even if it's 10 points, 15 points, बहुत clarity से mind में आना चाहिए. Gunatitanand Swami talked about this. Jo thodu jnana hoy pan deha parante sarada rahe to saru. Even if it's certain pieces of wisdom, Let it stay and absorb inside. बहुत हो गया. It opens up the wisdom. For example, in my heart, I have 2 stents, right? Because there were some blockages and all that. It's about a couple of years back, 2 stents. When you put the stent inside the corner in the artery, it opens up the blood vessel, right? So blood can flow. It's like that. You don't need 1,000 stents. You need 2. Wherever the block is, put the stent there. It's like that. These pieces of knowledge, bring them inside, and wherever the block is, put this wisdom, put this gnan, put these ideas right inside that blockage. The blockage will open up. This is called viveka. The mind does not become disturbed, our inner space does not become disturbed by recognizing impermanence. You say, oh my God, things are all temporary. That's so disturbing. No, not at all. On the contrary, the mind becomes disturbed when impermanence is denied. When we fail to see that, that's what causes the disturbance. That's what causes all the agitation. When impermanence, which is anitya, I'm using these English words here. When impermanence is honestly perceived, a new stability arises. A new stability, stable. Different kind of stability. Bhai nikal jata hai. Fear is gone. Bhagavat ashray. Hey Prabhu, Prabhu mohi to tum hi eka adhara. Premanand Swami ka pad hai. We become linked with Paramatma because that is the only support. We recognize this body will go. Nobody's going to come with us. No object is going to come with us. No name, fame, money, status, position, power, nothing is going to come with us. We have to go by ourselves. So who is it that we should be attached to? That is Narayana, Bhagavan, God. That's it, nothing else. That is Viveka. That Nitya Tattva through Shraddha, that link with that Paramatma is the only thing that matters. Ultimately, Paramarthika Satyam. So when impermanence is honestly perceived, a new stability opens up. And from that stability, we interact with the world all around us. Bandhan nahi hai. Without binding, harmful binding, without entanglement, there is interaction, healthy, good quality, loving interaction. This is called Jivan Mukta Kriya. Jivan Mukta means one who is living liberated, is performing activity. But there's no mental binding in that activity. The reactions inside, none of them are present. The aham and mamatva, that is gone also because of this viveka. Viveka is the discriminative intelligence, the wisdom that separates out cleanly the impermanence from the permanent. This new stability, this is what we call Sthita Prajna in the Gita, or what Bhagavan Krishna had described Sthita Prajna. It does not come from holding the world still. It comes from resting in that which is not dependent on the movement of the world. The world is going on, but Aram, Ram mein Aram. See, Ram mein hi Aram. Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Ram, Bhagwan Shiv. Paramatma is only one. So whichever way we are going, Ishta Bhakti, Devi ki Bhakti, maybe through Guru Parampara, however it is done, right? However it's done, wo tattva ek hi hai. It's not two. Ekam Advitiyam Brahma. Ekam eva Advitiyam Brahma. Vedo mein likha hai. वो अद्वितीय तत्व है. It's only one tattva. And so when we are connecting with that Paramatma, there is rest, aram. Another way to put it, Purnakam. See these interesting words. All desires are fulfilled. Apuryamanam achalam pratishtam. Samudramapah pravishanti advat. Tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sa shanti mapnoti na kamakami. Movement, world fluctuation goes on. We interact with the world. But the internal link with Bhagavan, the internal dynamics have transformed. And again, this entire sadhana of Nitya-Anitya-Vastu-Vivek, it really begins with observation. Careful, non-reactive seeing. There's a difference between observation and merely looking. Looking may be distracted, self-referential, selective, conditioned by desires or fear. But observation is refined, much more refined. It allows the objects, sensations, our thoughts to reveal its nature without immediately grasping or rejecting. We can see things as they are, rather than just getting absorbed in them or rejecting them. No, none of that. We see the nature of objects, sensations, feelings, emotions for what they are. It's like standing on the beach and observing the waves for what they are. There's a beginning of the wave, there's an existence of the wave, and there's the crashing of the wave. The experience of the wave is seen. It's observation. The fullness of the wave is seen. So in our adhyatmic practice, in our spiritual practices, observation, which is actually called Sakshi Bhav in Vedanta, it becomes an instrument through which the mind perceives the changing as changing. That which is changing is perceived as changing. A wave is seen as a changing phenomena on the ocean. The wave on the ocean is not, it would be foolish for anybody to say, I love the wave so much that it should just remain like that. Is it going to remain like that? It is changing every moment. It is going to eventually dissipate. It is eventually going to dissipate. That is the nature of the wave. Every object, every person, every experience, everything, this is a wave. These are waves. It's an analogy. The waves on the ocean of super consciousness, Brahmic consciousness. This is what Vedanta teaches us, Advaita Vedanta particularly. Advaita Vedanta teaches us that there is one reality, that through its Shakti, these waves are, this experience of the world is there. And that is this Viveka that Shankaracharya ji is referring to. It allows us to separate that out. So, when I see a wave, if I think that the wave is different from the ocean, that is Maya. Once I realize that the wave is nothing but the ocean in another form, that is Brahman. That is enlightenment. एक ही तत्व जो है, उनकी ही शक्ति सब जगह है. उनका ही form है सब जगह. It doesn't mean that God is degrading into the Maya. But God is present in all. You could say God is all. You could say that in one sense, as per Vishishtadvait and Advait. Thodi tatvik baat hai. I don't want to go into that right now. But from a bhakti point of view, Bhagwan vyatirek hai. God is beyond everything. That bhav should be there. That understanding should be there. But otherwise, the wave in the ocean, this is Advaita Vedanta. In the other forms of Vedanta, Bhagavad Tattva is the one only independent Tattva. Everything else is dependent. But that is also dependent on the presence of God. It's like the wave cannot exist independent of the ocean. In any Vedantic system, any object, like for example, I'm holding a cup here, right? You see this cup here? It's like a little, I don't know what color it is, maybe grayish color, a little bit green and gray or something like that. That cup, I'm saying using the word cup, right? But that's just a word. We are giving that word. It's just an object that has been fashioned in a particular way. That object is matter. It exists due to Brahman. And Advaita Vedanta would say it is only Brahman in that form. The gold and the necklace, the gold and the earring, the gold and the locket, right? Gold is only one. It can be fashioned into any form. Now, if you say that the necklace is different from the gold, that would be Agnan. It's not different from the gold. But there is, no doubt, there's a form of a necklace. There's a form of an ornament. The ornaments, go into a jewelry store. 24 karat gold, 10 karat gold, 22 karat, right? It's nothing but gold. There could be other mixtures inside there, whatever, but gold is only gold. Similarly, this is an analogy. The clay and pot analogy, the ocean and the wave analogy, the gold and the ornaments analogy. These are common analogies in Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. And what is the practicality in this? That Viveka is that when we see the objects outside, when we are awakened completely in our vision, when our vision opens up into Satyam, Sat Asatya, that which is Satyam, that our vision opens up that way through Bhakti. That, so Advaita Vedanta Bhakti is a doorway into that Jnana. In the Vishishtadvaita and other forms of Vedanta, Jnana is a doorway into Bhakti. It's flipped around. Dono hai adbhut hai. It's alright, it's beautiful. So sab ek hi hai ultimately. But very interesting. For example, if we're going to do this summer sometime. We're going to do a consciousness, satsang retreat. We'll start at my place and then we'll go to 2 or 3 temples here. And then we'll go to the mall and see if we can break the division. The mall retreat, right? Mall mein jayenge. Can we break through that divisiveness? All the people we see. What do we see? We see people, right? We see objects, places, food items, stimuli, all kinds of things. Can we perceive Brahman there? It's easier to say, yes, God exists in the temple. It's very difficult to say, I'm going to the mall to have darshan. Has anybody ever said that? We're going to try to do that this summer. You're all welcome to attend. We'll set up a date for that. We'll do a full day consciousness retreat, or Vedanta retreat. And that's the reality. Reality is reality. So when we see any person, any being, we are perceiving 2 things at the same time. That the bodies are changing, ephemeral bubbles, metabolic reactions are going on, things like that. That perception and the Paramatma Tattva, Bhagvat Tattva, Bhagwan ka Astitva, bhi hum dekh sakte hain. That is the X-ray vision. It's like the ability to see the ocean in the wave. But when we're seeing the wave, we almost kind of forget the ocean. I mean, we don't forget the ocean. We know it's there. We can see it. But we appreciate the uniqueness of the wave. Isn't it so? How beautiful way the movement of the wave. So in that sense, every object, every being, every phenomena, everything that appears in the waking state is a wave that is generated from the ocean as it is only the same substance that is generating this phenomena. The wave is not different from the ocean, but it has its own form. It has its own modulation. Isn't it so? And then of course, the wave is anitya, impermanent. This body is like a wave. Body, mind, senses, etc. And this is the sadhana. Now, if a person is just looking at the waves and says, there's only waves. What do you mean by ocean? There's no ocean. said, hey, this is called Agnan. And then you get trapped inside. I like this wave, I don't like this wave. This wave is bigger, this wave is, somebody's rich, somebody's poor, somebody's healthy, somebody's unhealthy, somebody is this way, that way. All kinds of distinction. Not all, all waves have their own form. Or like snowflakes. Let's use a snowflake analogy. They say that no two snowflakes are ever the same in structure. They have done experiments, apparently. Up till today, nobody has found two snowflakes with the same structure. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. What kya prakriti ka khel hai. But can we say that one snowflake is completely a different thing from another snowflake? No, it is only water. Pani hai wo. It has taken a particular form. It's like that. Whoever we see in this sansar, these are the names and forms. But the snowflake will heat up a little bit and it will turn into water. All the snowflakes combine together into water. Wo pani hai. So from a tattva point of view, Brahman, Akshara Brahma में ही ये सब है. Akshara Brahma is the only substratum. And all the names and forms and bodies and everything that is coming, let's say from Brahman, that is called Brahmand. See, the word Brahman is still there. Brahmand means the egg, right? It's a comparison to an egg. And then the evolution, creation, everything is there, all the differentiation. Tattva Gnan ki baat hai. We don't have time to go into that. We need like a whole week to go into that, Advait and Vishishtadvait and all that. But good baat hai. It's just a matter of perspective. Nobody's wrong. It's not a question of one acharya is wrong and another. No, it is their darshan. What they have seen, that is what they have described. That is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. उनका जो अनुभव है, ऐसा description किया है. It's not that Shankaracharya ji is wrong and Ramanujacharya is right. Ramanujacharya is wrong and Chaitanya Prabhu is right. It's not like that. They are all correct because they are all Brahmanisht, Brahmaveta, Brahma Swarup. They are in anubhava of the tattvas. And then they're interpreting the scriptures and writing their commentaries to open that doorway. It's not a philosophical debate back and forth. With that, we have created that thing. They would not wind up in disliking each other. They may disagree. They may say, okay, this is my interpretation. They may say that I have a different interpretation. But in reality, once you go into all of this, you would find out that they are talking about the same thing only. It's just a matter of how much realization they have, what type of realization they have. So Nitya-Anitya-Vastu-Vivek is written for everybody, obviously, to open up the realization, because realization has to be your own. Simply reading Sri Bhasyam, simply reading the Gita, Vachanamrutam, and repeating intellectually the concepts is not realization. It's not realization. Right? So realization begins. This is why it is the master key. Nitya-Anitya-Vastu-Vivek. Just take another 2 more minutes here. That realization begins by clear perception, vision of everything that is impermanent. Nirbandhan chhut jata hai. Then when we perceive the impermanent, our mind begins to latch on to that which is permanent. Chit ki vritti ek hai, bhave tya lagao, bhave to hari ki bhakti karo, bhave to vishay kamao. The mind cannot remain unsupported. Impossible. Mind, meaning our antakaran, this man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy. These 5. वो आधार बिन रही नहीं सकते. They have to be supported, latched onto, and we have to live in the world. But when we see the world as anitya, we see this body as anitya, we see our internal buddhi, mind, senses, our internal energy, it unlocks. The speed of the mind settles down. बहुत कुछ होता है. Mind becomes steady. Our internal space becomes steady. Fear goes away. Fear completely goes away. It's tremendous, you know. The bhav inside gets stronger. Bhav is sacred inner attitude and devotional feeling, bhakti bhav. It increases that our Shakti transmutes into bhakti. How beautiful. So what is the anubhav day to day, hour to hour, breath to breath? स्थिरता, शुद्धता, पवित्रता, जो अनित्य है इसमें कोई बंधन ही नहीं. Interaction is there, but it is healthy interaction. Binding is also there. Mother and child and parents, you have to be bound, but bound in a healthy, it's binding without entanglement. It is a healthy binding. There's always relationship with friends, family, co-workers, etc. Relationships are there. Binding is there. But binding without getting bound. That's interesting. There's interaction. There is affection, duty. There is a good quality, quote, binding. But that binding is not the kind of binding that creates bondage. It is a type of binding that is opening the domain of love, not ego. This is why we suffer. This is why all the imbalances happen inside of us and in others. Because we're binding in such a way that we get bound, others are bound, and our ego gets involved, and then there's trouble. Property disputes, legal disputes, domestic violence, depression, anger, fear, greed. Ye sab kya hai? This is binding in such a way that there is damage to energy, harmful interaction happens, me and you and me and this and that, by falsely believing that this world is permanent. That is at the very root. That is why Nitya-Anitya-Vastu-Vivek is a master key. It is the master key. It's beautiful. बहुत सुंदर बात है. Let's stop here for now. भगवान के चरणों में, सब संत परंपरा के चरणों में, आप सबके चरणों में, lots of prayers and wishes for everyone that we may all evolve in this path further. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshi Sarvadoma Imrim Klim Chamundai Viche Namo Namaha Om Hrim Swaha Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Okay, we'd love to hear from